Hello everyone, our mother's child, Ravenson here, and I'd like to welcome you to the IEG series, Raven, Emperor of the Gods series. I'm gonna bring you the prologue, we're gonna jump right into this, and I hope you're still safe out there wherever you are. Check it, let's do this. Raven, Emperor of the Gods, Book 1, Part 1, Prologue, Peacetime. The day was 22nd September 2067. It was a casual and relaxing spring day, with a tender breeze that made trees sway with grace from side to side under the warm rays of the African sun. The rays from on high stretched across the land, with its warmth filling the air, creating a laxed yet comforting atmosphere throughout most of the cities and towns of South Africa. Despite the day being so, however, it was the midweek climax of the Festival of the Saviors and Heroes. It was a week-long festival that celebrated the heroes who put their lives on the line every day for the safety of others. But some believed that there was more to the week than met the eye. They believed this because of the intense emotion they experienced during this week. Emotions of great fear, anger, sadness, joy, but above all, gratitude. Deep down, all knew these feelings were directed towards someone. But the problem with that was, no one knew whom they felt gratitude towards, with some even speculating that they were the saviors the week celebrated. Alas, no matter how long man searched, the answer would always stray from them. Each area in the world had its own level of intensity with the emotions they felt during this week, with the area having the strongest intensity of these emotions being the city of Port Elizabeth, South Africa, and was the reason why so many who could afford to go traveled to the rather small bay city. Before the festival celebration began, Port Elizabeth was known to have not much happening for it, except acting as a manufacturer for wagon-wheeled vehicles, Oleg hoverpods, and as a port city in general. That was what the records read. But after 24 years since the festival's beginning, it has become the most popular city in Great Africa and the world. People from Great Africa, as well as the districts, the SEAF, Southeast Asia Federation, Neo-Middle East, Europea, Russia, NUSA, New United States of America, and Australia all came to experience the turbulent and truly festive atmosphere. The festival would take up nearly all the city of Port Elizabeth, from its northeastern coast till the suburbs close to the highway, the N2, that left the city of Port Elizabeth, and even some areas of the north, famed for their curries and spiced foods. This week of celebration was declared an international holiday by both the NUN, New United Nations, and UES, United Earth Servant Jonah Abrams, whose position could be equated to the President of Earth. Each day of the festival held its own prominent emotion, with the midweek climax that brought the prominent emotion of joy in the hearts of those who celebrated, as the vibrancy of bustling crowds filled the different areas of the packed city, different programs and events being set throughout. However, even amidst the partying and festivity, there were areas known as cool zones, spread throughout the city, and were used for families and groups to take breaks, to have lunch, or to find rest if they needed. At one such area, namely St. George's Park, Many laid their picnic blankets down on the ground, with some resting upon theirs and gazing up to the sky, which was dotted with soft, crisp clouds and lined with heavy air traffic. The park wasn't as popular before the festival celebration, but grew with fame during the years of celebration. Even though most do not recall what happened in the years preceding the festival, some things would never change, like how young people parked themselves on the old willow, smiling and laughing at trending senses of humor, or how young couples, newlyweds, and even golden couples would stroll the paths of the park, enjoying each other's company and even, at times, looking at each other with passion-filled eyes, enjoying the ambiance set by the smooth jazz band, playing soft melodies, the kind that fell deep into the ears of those close by. The light smell of batter and smoke hinted in the air as they wafted from food stalls that lined the sides of the park. Both music and smell created a wholesome inner peace within everyone present. Equality truly reigned as man and woman of different backgrounds came together, laughing and cheering, drunk on happiness, joy, but above all, gratitude. The atmosphere seemed perfect and the scenery picturesque, but this perfection does not exist, at least not in this reality, as there were still a handful of people who would not be changed by their environment or even the emotion that influenced others. Such are human beings. One such being, or rather, elderly Caucasian man, sat solely on an old park bench under one of the trees in the corner of St. George's Park, away from all the music and close to an old monument. The man had a short yet stocky build, his tired muscles and creased skin showing the history. He wore a white Panama hat and had a white golf shirt tucked neatly in his brown chino shorts, matching simply with a comfortable pair of brown strap sandals. In front of him, he clasped the top of a meter-long, thick-shaft nopkiri, his large and hairy knuckled hands covering most of the bulbous top. Next to him rested an old, brown, worn leather satchel with patches of light brown areas where the treated leather had already flaked off, while other areas showed the fibers of the leather as proof of how long he has carried it. With slow, raspy breaths, he stares into the distance through aged and peering eyes towards the festivities in deep and personal thought. Some that walked past him did not care to take notice, brushing him off as a relic of a past that did not concern them, while others kept their distance, as not many elderly people still existed in this time, and was considered to be peculiar for anyone to be. However, from the distant energy and joy, away from the old and tired man, came a boy who approached with curiosity in his step. The boy appeared to be 8 or 9 years of age, was brown of complexion, wore shoulder-length dreaded hair, a custom and trend that developed in the years of the festival celebration, and wore a smart suit while licking a violently dripping ice cream cone. Once the boy was close enough, the old man's attention turned to him, and the boy, who had stopped licking his ice cream cone, stared back at him, with the dripping drops of ice cream being vaporized inches from the floor by the clear brick that paved most of the park. A small but steadily growing smile appeared on the boy's face as he slowly began to make his way closer to the bench where the old man was sitting. The old man noticed this, but brushed it aside with a mumbling groan and resumed his staring into the distance. The boy finally reached the bench and said with an innocent smile, "Excuse me, sir, may I, please sit next to you?" Not wanting to be bothered with the company of a child, the man asked, "Where are your parents, child?" The child looked up at the elderly man and pointed, saying, "They're over there, sir, but I asked them if I could sit with you, and they said I could. May I?" Dumbfounded by the situation, as well as the leniency of the boy's parents, the man relented and gestured to his right with a flick of his head, saying, "Sit." The boy's face lit up, and he found his seat next to the old man and continued licking his dripping ice cream cone. The echoes of distant laughter, music, and conversation were swallowed by the silence between the old man and the boy, the only sound breaking the silence being the child's licking of his ice cream. Finally, the boy broke the wooden silence and stuck out his hand towards the old man and said, "My name is Odin Emdar, and you are?" Once again, the man was dumbfounded because he thought the silence would chase the child away. However, seeing this child initiate the conversation with a handshake humored the old man, so he greeted the child with a pleased grin and said, "Radman, Beethoven, Edo, dear boy, it's a pleasure." The boy paused and giggled a bit before letting out a brief chuckle, causing the old man to pull away from his hand, offended by the child's laughter at his name, and said, "Why are you being so rude, boy? Did your parents not teach you well?" The boy realized what he had done, but despite this, he continued and said through his laughter, "Forgive me, sir. I just imagined Beethoven and Yukata playing Symphony No. 7, second movement." The old man paused while the child kept laughing, as the image too appeared in his mind, and before he knew it, he too was sniggering and giggling. "It's funny, right?" the boy giggled, taking a lick of his ice cream. The old man froze, realizing he had laughed at his name. He immediately flushed red and shook his head, dismissing the thought and clearing his throat, saying, "It wasn't." "Excuse me, sir?" the boy asked, craning his head forward and turning it to face the old man, who turned in a huff and said sternly, raising his voice slightly, "It wasn't funny, child. What you said wasn't funny. It was rude, and you need to learn some manners." The boy froze, and his laughter dampened, startled by the response of the old man. The boy then turned to face his front, and he began to sulk, his profusely dripping ice cream cone now slanted and dripping onto the clear brick, as he said in a choked up voice, Is it so bad to laugh at a joke? Even one that was directed at you? I mean, laughter is the best medicine for sadness. So why not laugh?" The old man's aged eyes brightened up at what the child said, and turned to look at him, only to see tears falling off his cheeks and his ice cream dripping around his hands. The old man sighed with a regretful frown, realizing what he had done. The boy's sobs began to escalate, but soon calmed down as the man gently placed his hand on the boy's back and placed a clean handkerchief on the boy's ice cream covered hands and said tenderly, "I am sorry, child. I am just a sad old man who has forgotten how to laugh." The child sniffed, taking the handkerchief from the man and wiping his hands with it, and then asked with a sobbing voice, "Why, sir?" Mr. Edo stared far into the distance again, but with a nostalgic smile, and said, "My brother was always the one to make me laugh. He was always there to put a smile on my face, and was always there for me, even at the very end." "What happened to your brother, sir?" the boy asked. Taking a deep breath, Mr. Edo sighed with a smile and said proudly, "He saved me and the rest of the world from a great evil, child. An evil that was erased from the minds of those you see around you. All you see around you was possible because of my brother, the leader of the 7 saviors that saved the world." The boy gawped in amazement and said, "So there were saviors, sir? Wow, that's amazing. Not even my parents know about this. This is so cool. What was your brother's name, sir?" The man sniggered and placed his nopkiri to one side, revealing its bulbous top to be a carved lion human head with a fur and feathered mane, and said, while pulling the satchel to his lap, unclipping the buckle and flipping open its flap, "They couldn't have done it alone, child. They had help from a lot of those who believed the world could overcome the evil that once plagued it. And here," reaching deep into his satchel, Mr. Edo pulled out a medium-sized, extraordinarily thick book. Its title read, "Sacrifice of 7" by R.B. Edo. Mr. Edo placed the book on the same side as his nopkiri and reached into his satchel again and took out a sanitizer spray to spray on the boy's hands as well as his own. After the sanitizer dried, he reached over for the book and placed it into the boy's hand. It was covered in a thick leather skin with the title printed in gold, a real original masterpiece. "This book, child, is a story highlighting all my brother and his companions' major events in their journey, as well as the days leading to and of humanity's salvation. The events responsible for the peace that you see around you are in this book, child," said Mr. Edo with smiling eyes. With delight, the child took the book and stared with wonder at its cover and dimension. But Mr. Edo realized the type of book he had given this child and cautioned the wide-eyed boy, saying, "Are you sure you can read this, child? It is long and might bore you. Are you truly fine with this?" The child looked at the book with eyes of wonder, and then looked at Mr. Edo with the same eyes, saying, "Do not worry, sir. I might only be 9 years old, but I am an avid reader. I should return this to you by the end of the festival." Mr. Edo acknowledged Odin by tipping his Panama hat. "However, is Sir fine with me reading Sir's book?" Mr. Edo stared far into the distance once more and smiled, picking up his nopkiri and resting his large and hairy knuckled hands on its bulbous top once again, saying, "Consider it a gift, Odin. When you are done,
I'll be waiting to hear all about it.
Odin's face glowed with excitement, and he said, "Oh wow, Mr. Edo. Thank you so much." Odin then took off into the distant sea of onlookers and disappeared. Alone now, Mr. Edo took a deep breath and sighed, maintaining his stare in the distance, wearing bright eyes, remembering times past, even giving a little snigger to funny moments he recalled.
It still stumps me that this is reality. How could a world so full of poverty, so full of crime, so full of corruption, so full of evil, find such peace and unity?
He stared at the smiling faces of the happy families, friends, and even the strangers that passed them by in the distance, and smiled softly.
Do these people have any idea what could have been? Do they know the evils that used to plague the world? Then again, he knew that this would be the result.
He turned his gaze towards the sky, looking beyond its air traffic and into the clouds that lay beyond, staring with long full eyes of sadness.
Is that not right, Save?
You guys! Oh my sack! Guys, that gave me goosebumps. But yeah, tell me what you think. Oh my word! Tell me what you think, guys. Like, share, subscribe if you want more content. Yeah, I'll be posting the first chapter because it's obviously 2 parts. It says there right on the thumbnail. So yeah, I'll be here, guys. This is RavenTalez with your boy Raven Sun. Cheers. Till next time, guys.